name is Dan Elkabir, and this is a beginner's guide to building a WordPress website. So let's start off with your domain. This is the setup phase, and first and foremost, you need to find a domain. Now that sounds a lot easier than it actually is. The world of domains are filling up fast and furious, and to find a .com domain is, wow, a big challenge these days. So the first recommendation is keep it local, especially if you're a business that doesn't break the borders of this country. .co.za is perfectly okay, and sometimes it's even better. If you still can't find a .coza, then get creative with the domain name. You can, spell it slightly differently, add a word, remove a word, and get a little bit creative with that. And if you still can't find it, there are domains that they themselves are very creative. So where it used to be that we used to have local domains, .coms, .orgs, and .nets. Nowadays, there's a whole host of very variant domain names. So if you're a school, you can find a .school. If you're a music agency, you can find a .music. There's pretty much a domain for every type of business out there. So you can always do that. You would get your domain from your hosting provider. In this country, I would strongly recommend Xnilu. They are a fantastic hosting provider with good pricing and really, really good service. So that's xnelo.co.za. Make sure when you're purchasing a hosting option from them that you would get a MySQL database included in that. So this is the database that actually allows WordPress to run, and therefore at the very bare minimum we need one MySQL database. Don't worry, it sounds technical, but that is an option with all these hosting providers. The next stage is definitely the most technical and the most, I would say, difficult parts of this whole process is installing WordPress. So if you're a technical person and you like the challenge, then I would suggest going onto YouTube and just typing in how to install WordPress. If you're not up for the challenge, then I would go into something like fiverr.com, Fiverr, and look for a practitioner who will help you install WordPress. It's a very cheap, quick thing to do. Again, just to emphasize the beauty of WordPress is everything is free. You could do everything for free, but sometimes we need a little bit of help. I would say if you're not technical, this is one of those places where I would enlist some help. The next phase is the most boring, dry phase of this whole process, but it does help save a lot of time in the long run. So let's plan. Let's start with the end in mind. Again, the beauty of WordPress is it allows you to branch out into many other areas once you've started the project. So today you can have a 5-page, very basic brochure website, and you can add on functionalities such as e-commerce, such as, pretty much anything as you go along. But it's always a good idea to start with that end point in mind. What do I want to achieve out of this, and where does my business, where's my business going to be in a few years from now, and start with that in mind. I would then go and wireframe this. Now, wireframing can be a very simple process. It can be done on the back of a serviette with a pen, or it can be done, we use a program called Adobe XD. There is a free version of that. It's a little bit more technical, but all of these ways are very valid. The point of wireframing is to get your thoughts down into a piece of paper and draw the basic structure, the basic blueprint and skeleton of your website, so then you can start planning the content. And content is a vital component to your website. So now that you know what the homepage looks like in terms of its structure, what your pages are, there's home, about, contact, blog, etc., you can start writing the content. And I don't just mean the big wordy content, I mean the actual headlines as well, the sort of call to actions as well, which are very vital. And in doing so, you need to ask yourself a couple questions. Number one, the who. Who am I speaking to? I think we get very caught up in who are we, why are we so awesome, why are we so amazing? And I think we need to focus a lot more on who are the target audience that I'm trying to attract. What do they look like? Who are they? What are their problems? Where do they live? And start addressing that through your content. So a little part of this process is the research going into who is your desired target market and writing and structuring your content for them. The what of the process is it must be extremely clear at first glance. As you land on your website, you see what's called above the fold on your website. That is the section that lies on top of your site, which you don't need to scroll down. It needs to be really, really clear what exactly it is you do. So if you're a company that sells vacuum cleaners, it needs to be very clear. We sell the world's best vacuum cleaners, okay? And the next step to that is where to from here. So once I've told you what we do, I've worked out who you are and what your needs are. I've told you what to do. I need to tell you where to go next. So if it's an e-commerce website, click here to buy this incredible vacuum cleaner. The next step in the user journey needs to be very clear. Is that a scroll down? Is that a click here to get one of our consultants to call you back? Whatever the next desired step is, you need to guide the user down that journey. You are taking them on this adventure and you're pushing them down a path where you'd want them to go. The next stage in the process is, of course, the build itself. So you would go and pick a theme. So I would suggest something like Theme Forest is a fantastic theme repository with hundreds, thousands of themes. And the beauty is you can find a theme for pretty much any industry. So you can find one that, let's say you're in the financial services industry, you would search financial services WordPress theme, and it's amazing. You'll find some really cool, ready to set up themes that have most of what you need included. It's going to save you a fortune of time in terms of building it yourself. And I would strongly suggest going to a place like Theme Forest. Alternatively, there are free options. Theme Forest would cost about $40 to $80 a theme. There are free options, but obviously you'll be a little bit more limited in terms of the overall design and layout. You then download, pay for, and upload the theme. Again, this is a slightly technical part of it, but a very easy thing to do. A Google search or a YouTube search will help you in that process. And then slowly set up the pages, the home page, the about page, etc., etc. Once you've done this, testing is a big part of it. So test on desktop, test on different browsers, let your friends test, and test on mobile. Make sure it's all good and tweak, always improve as you go along. So ask for feedback, be open to feedback. And again, the beauty of digital is the ability to continually change and tweak and update. You're not printing a billboard. It's not a once-off thing. You can always add and remove and change and learn. That is the basic sort of setup, 1, 2, 3. The little extras that I thought I'd include are, for number one, plugins. Plugins are something, as the word suggests, something that plugs into your website. And there are, again, thousands of plugins that exist for different needs on WordPress. The main ones I would suggest kind of getting out the box. Number one is Yoast. That is an SEO plugin. It will help you with search engines indexing your website, and is a very, very powerful free plugin. Jetpack as well. It's free, it's powerful, gives you all the analytics and statistics and all that kind of good stuff that you need. WordFence is one of those things that WordPress comes under quite a bit of fire in terms of being not so secure. So WordPress has free and paid for options, which plugs quite a few of those security holes. And there's a ton of plugins. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to add a sign up plugin to your website, if you want to add a contact form plugin to the website, there's a beautiful array of things that you can add. And each one of them has their own ratings, and you can see how many people have downloaded them. So you get a good sense of which is good and which is not. Another thing to bear in mind is with regards to stock imagery, there are a lot of free stock imagery websites that are popping up all the time. Oftentimes they're also a lot more natural, the free stock imagery ones. The sort of more paid ones like Shutterstock, etc., are quite staged, etc. So, again, open Google and search free stock imagery and you'll find a ton of them. And a very important step in this process is installing an SSL, that's a security certificate, on your website. That will make sure that Google sees you as a safe place, especially if you have e-commerce for people to browse and people to be. I really hope this helps. There's a ton more. We only have a limited amount of time, but any questions, and you're more than welcome to email me or call me. Thank you very much. I hope this helped.